Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airwaves with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images of 1.2 gigahertz. So with that, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact on the 08 machine before our net gets fully underway this evening. So this is Dave, KD7CYM, pausing. Being none, again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. We utilize the 08 machine for our voice transmissions for our video nets that are held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. So far this evening, checked in is Ron, KD7QKU, Bob, K9PQ, Richard, K7ITX, Wade, W7ATS, and Jim is on the side. Will be late checking in 7QO, and James, WW7N, has checked in, and I see the lovely Jessica, KF7UHK, is joining us. So with that, is there anybody else that would like to join the net this evening? Seeing none, we'll get the ball rolling. Let's start at the top of the list with Ron, KD7QKU, supercommuter.
Okay, this is Ron, KD7QKU. Is my audio okay? Everybody's giving me a thumbs up, so I guess it's fine. If I move that antenna 6 inches, it's not fine. I just have to have a specific spot. It's kind of amazing. So Bob probably doesn't know. So it's a mag mount antenna that's sitting on the floor in the hall behind me. And I'm transmitting from inside the room. Well, I am happy to announce that as of today, we are totally out of the Bellevue house. I brought both boats, I brought the motorhome home today. I called the real estate agent and said, it's up for sale. So they're going to come pick up the key tonight, take pictures on Saturday, and it'll probably be listed next week. So finally, what a terrible job. Terrible ordeal. We still have more stuff sitting here in this house than you can imagine, and I don't know where we're going to put it or what we're going to do with it, but we got it all out. I suppose we'll be making more trips to either the Goodwill or to the dump. Not sure which. So anyway, that was kind of what I did today. Brought it home, backed it in on the gravel, plugged it in, and hooked up the. It has a little dome satellite on it. It has a dish, but I got this little dome, so I hooked that up. I had to call the dish company because I hadn't run it for quite a while. They have to send you a signal to get it up and running. Got it up and running, and hooked up put a trickle charger on it, got the trickle charger hooked up. So it's all good to go. Back to that, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, thanks for that update, Ron. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
Jessica over here in Everett, KF7UHK. Congratulations, Ron. Never liked moving, and we'll have to do that when we sell our condo and move on to a Mount Rare place, I'm sure. So whenever we go up there, I always take a little bit of something that I'm not using here that I can squirrel away there, and then later on when we eventually move up there, it'll all be there. That's my plan until the last final day of moving out of here one day, someday, whatever that is. Let's see, we're keeping track of the Southlands, Louisiana and Mississippi, and all the places that the flooding went, and it's just incredible. I watched that up until it actually hit. Well, I'm still watching it still, but just amazing. I've been watching it both on CNN or on the Weather Channel, and they've been just covering it really, really well. Just amazing. Amazing storm they came through there, still affecting people for months and months, and maybe years from now on, I always think about people like that down there. It's like, maybe you should think about moving away from where it's so rainy or where the storms really come in and hit every now and then. But that's not always, it's not always easy. Let's see, here at 803 here in Everett, inside the condo here, it looks like 75 degrees sitting on top of the computer with a 51% of a relative humidity inside our condo, and it looks like a cloud for our little weather guesser. So I'm hoping for more of that rain. We had a lot of rain yesterday, and that was really nice, but then today it's really clear. So how much say? Yep, so we'll see. This is KM7 UHK.
KM7 UHK, and let's go to Bob, K9PQ, Super Camper.
Well, audio only again today, I'm afraid. I still have to get things squared away since the internet change. And actually, I'd really like to get my mobile setup going, but that's for another time. So yeah, I did go camping last weekend. We had our annual Gaming in the Woods outing, and it was lots of fun. We went to a different campground than usual. We usually go to, well, it was also right near New Halem, which is near Ross Lake on the North Cascades Highway. And we usually go to a place called the Goodell Creek Group Campground, which is fantastic. They've got 2 group sites, and each group site has a very large covered area with big timbers and lots of space for many picnic tables and a huge campfire spot. And then there are individual sites for people to camp as well, with little parking spaces, place for the trailer if I wanted to put it there. But I usually give those spots to people with tents because they have nice gravel, with posts around the outside for tent spots. And this is like that as well. It's just not a group campground, but it's another Forest Service, Park Service campground, and it's really good. This was New Halem. I think New Halem Creek they call it. But we had a good time. It was great to see the people again. We didn't do it at all last year, of course, and so just great to see everybody and catch up and play some games. Okay, I'll send it back before I time out. Back to that K9PQ.
K9PQ, Bob, thanks for joining the net. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
Okay, well, good deal. Oh, geez, I saw myself on Wade's, evidently his RF monitor. So that's pretty cool, 1.2 gig. So, golly, just kind of tuckered out. I got the power washer out. I haven't used that since you guys saw me in all my glory after I cleaned out the crevices in my driveway and got most of the mud and dirt all over my face and clothes. And needless to say, the power washer was a little dirty from that, so I kind of wiped that down. But I realized this morning that it's probably a good idea before it gets any cooler to just wash down the deck, upper deck, that's been there for 25 years and no rotten wood, knock on wood, and so it just seemed like a reasonable thing to wash that down, and tomorrow morning I'll be putting a new finish on it. Well, not really a new finish, but I'm just going to put another coat over. That's what I've been doing the last 2 or 3 years. I do it kind of frequently. Just if it's clean enough and the condition is good and it looks fine, then I'll just take the same deck stain, and go right over the top of the existing. And that's been working now for 25 years, so I don't think I want to change it. I don't think I want to skip a season, especially now that it's so old. So, but that's not the hard. The hard part is just all the stuff that's on the deck. And I made the command decision not to carry any of the stuff down the stairs and just move it to one side and over to the other side as I go. And, you know, because actually just moving everything is more work than the actual project. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. KD7ZYM, K7ITX. Back to my control.
7ITX, Richard, thanks for that. Let's go to Wade, ITL.
This is W7ITL, Wade here. Can somebody switch me, or I don't have my setup right now to switch, so I can't. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I didn't have a lot to prepare for this round. Just kind of listening to you guys. Let's see here. Let me see what I've been working on. Just enjoying the new weather. You know, it's now starting to get cooler, and I think we've been in the 60s and 50s for the last week or so. It's been really nice having the weather. So with that said, I'll turn the net back to Dave. This is W7ITL.
W7ITL, Wade, thanks for that. Well, let's see if Jim is with us in 7QO. Hearing none, let's go to James, WU7N.
Well, thank you. Of course, the big question, Ron, it looks like you're out of the woods. Did you get tested again and come up negative or positive, or what happened there? We all want to know, just in case, you know, when the best time to come and burglarize your house would be. You're in your house now that all the stuff's neatly packed in boxes and everything. Seriously, you look like you're doing great, so I hope you're continuing to do well, you and your wife. Bob, camping, always on gravel. You've got to have that gravel to filter out the water that pours through the seams of the tent. So I always put my tent on gravel whenever going camping in the Pacific Northwest. That's a vital first step. Richard, what I use on my deck is air. My deck has a southern exposure with a bunch of trees in the middle, so it's just built to rot. It's been replaced, I think, once since I've lived here in 30 years, so I guess I don't have too much to complain about, but it looks like it's due for another replacement, and I'm going to try that plastic Trex stuff next, just so I can blast it with water like you do. And, you know, get the big hunts off, because really all my deck serves really is kind of like fire escape balconies, someplace to stand for the firemen to come rescue you if the place catches on fire. I'm not sure. They're made of wood right now, so I'm not sure how long they would last compared to the rest of the structure. But I never use my decks for anything, so I noticed when you had your camera out, you use yours, so I have to follow that example. Well, here's the chemistry problem for the evening. These I got, and the first hint is I think I got 2 of these for $1 at the grocery outlet, so you know you're in trouble already. And the second hint, if you look where my thumb is, you can see that you're supposed to use little muffin tins and little cups to bake these in. However, on the back, it does offer you an option of using a cookie sheet. Now, if you use a cookie sheet, it's really convenient because you can convert the individual little rounds of brownie dough into charcoal briquettes, and then you can use them in your barbecue. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, turn down the heat, Jim. That's probably true in a lot of aspects of my life for the last 50 years, but actually, I tried that. The first one, I followed the instructions and it came out uniform charcoal briquettes. I turned the heat way down, and now they're like half charcoal briquettes. Now, I don't know if you've seen those Ebony and Ivory Harmony cookies. You know, one's dipped in the white chocolate, and the other side's dipped in the black chocolate. This is the same idea, except it's just half charcoal briquette and half brownie stuff on the top. Now, my question for the group here is, since I don't have one of these nifty little tins, let's see if you can get a better picture. Nifty tins with the little cups. Is there any way I'm down to one, and I don't think grocery outlet has any more of these, so this is a big, I'm depending on you guys to come up with the idea of how do you save the Pillsbury eat or bake. There's another hint. It says safety eat raw. So I guess that's after you burn the crap out of the first one, and the second one you got two for $1, then you can just eat that one if you can handle artificially flavored synthetic brownie dough. So anyway, if you guys have any idea on how to keep these from turning into chocolate briquettes, I'd like to hear it. This is James, WW7ATS in Northeast Bellevue.
WW7ATS. Thanks for that. This is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. And for James, I guess the verbiage, burn baby, burn, the word to use for these briquettes that you've created. Well, here at Lake City, I've got 63 degrees, and the sunset tonight at 7:48. Boy, it's getting earlier every session that we have. And for my neighborhood, my backyard, I've noticed today the squirrels were moving around quite rapidly, scavenging everything they could find. So I don't know if that's an indication of a bad winter coming this way. And my raccoon has come back in the backyard to haunt me with that. And then in my front yard, I have a rabbit that just loves to lay in the sun in front of a bush, just in front of my front porch, under the plants. So that's kind of an interesting situation. Doesn't seem to be too disturbed with my moving around, but if I get too close to him, he rabbits off. Boy, can they jump. I couldn't believe how fast he could move across the yard when he wanted to go. So I don't know what he's doing for food. I gave out a couple of little carrots a couple of days ago, and I noticed they disappeared, so I don't know. I put out some more carrots, and he just didn't want them, so I don't know. Maybe he came by the same briquettes that James was cooking. I don't know. So anyway, this is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. So with that, I'm going to turn back, go up to the top to Ron, KD7QKU.
Thank you, Dave. This is KD7QKU. Well, James, no testing. We haven't had any testing, and we feel fine. So I think the COVID vaccine did its job. It protected us. So my brother, or Joanne's sister and brother-in-law, they went down, they were tested. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. And they tested negative. So their vaccine protected them. So as far as we know, the only one that was sick is just the kid that was sick. No one else, apparently. At least there's no reports of anyone else being sick. Out of the 20 or 30 people that were there. And let's see, yeah, it got down to 48 degrees. When I got up this morning, had my coffee. A little bit after 6, it was 48 degrees here. And I noticed when I was out there in the backyard with the motorhome, I brought the motorhome. I got home about 1:30. Got it vacuumed, plugged in and everything. You could feel a little chill in the air. It was just really nice. It had that fall feel to it. It makes me think of hunting whenever the season gets like this. I know it's getting near to hunting season. I used to always get excited to get ready for hunting. But anyway, I guess all I do now is think about it. But anyway, yeah, it was a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day. Traffic was good today, believe it or not. Both directions just moved right along. I came home, I don't think I drove less than 50 miles an hour, 60 or 65 most of the time. So wouldn't you know, the last day, it would be good traffic. Every other day there's been wrecks, detours and everything else. It's been horrible. So I'm glad I get to get up in the morning and stay here and think about doing something else. Although we don't have lots of stuff to deal with, but we have a long time to deal with it. All right, let's see, what else? Bob, it sounds like you had a good time camping. I kind of envy you. We haven't been camping for a long time. So I guess I'll turn it back to the net.
KD7QKU, Ron, thanks for that. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
KF7UHK, yeah, I haven't been camping in a while either ourselves. And I was wondering, what games are you playing over there? Is it like Monopoly, or if it was me, I'd like to pull out the roulette wheel with the chips, or are you playing something like Monopoly or Risk, which is also a fun game, or like maybe, what well as other board games. So that's my question for you. Let's see, Richard, setup time. It's always about setup time. You know, so many jobs I did at Boeing, there was always a long setup time and then really fast to do the run and do a bunch of parts. But the setup time and getting it just right before you make that run, that's always critical. Cooler weather, kudos to that. We had like pouring down rain about 3 o'clock yesterday, or about 2:30 when somebody was off to work. It just poured up here for a while, and it was really nice. Then all the rain went away, and it was a nice, clear night. And lastly, James, I'm thinking what you should do is turn your oven up to about 350 for probably the cooking temperature, and then turn it off and put your items onto a cookie sheet and cover them up with a piece of foil so you don't get the radiant heat. It'll be cooking in that foil like a little bit of oven, or just eat it right out of the can, because it was that's the way I did. But you know, if you're going to cook it on a low heat, because it probably doesn't need. If it's one of those you can eat out of the can, you probably don't need much cooking to it. It's probably just a little bit of heat, and it'll probably bloom up and then get nice and soft, but not too much heat. If it says 18 minutes or something like that for cooking time, do it for about 5, and then mostly turn off the oven after it's gotten hot. That's how I do things. And once again, cover it with foil, less radiant heat. This TF7 UHK in the kitchen.
TF7 UHK Jessica. Let's move on to Bob, K9PQ.
Okay, guys. Well, first of all, Ron, congratulations on being out of the Bellevue house, man. That's huge. And did you pull it off without having to put a bunch of stuff in storage? That's my question for you. If you did, even bigger congratulations. James, Jessica gave you the good suggestion. I'm going to give you my suggestion, which is use the briquettes from the first batch and barbecue the dough and see how that comes out. Good luck on that. Ron, it sounds like you were exposed to someone that had COVID or was tested positive for COVID. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. And it was 47 degrees here. And I would like to get a sound report just because I can't remember. The last time I was here, I already was using the new mic, but I can't remember if I got any reports. All those sound problems I was having, I did end up buying a new replacement microphone for this radio, and so I'm curious to hear. Hopefully all those sound issues have gone away. Okay, that's good for now. Back to net, K9PQ.
K9PQ, your audio level's fantastic. You're 10 out of 10. Full quieting. So let's move on down to Richard, K7ITX.
Okay, nice turnout tonight. So you guys saw me last Saturday night in Shelton it's called The Ridge. It's a racetrack just outside of Shelton, a 2.5-mile course. Quite a few turns, 15 turns. We were going for our 10th win on Sunday, and we did accomplish that. It's got to be some kind of record. We definitely got the season championships under our belt for sure for 2021 with the Porsche 944. Now we're going to be concentrating winning the rest of the races that we go to with the 1969 Datsun 510. That's my favorite car. It's the prettiest, and our next big event will be in Portland. Jessica, you were asking me too. Are we ever worried about some kind of creep, sabotaging our equipment? Well, yeah, kind of. Only from the standpoint that we're never really comfortable leaving our stuff completely unattended, so to speak. In fact, our next big event with the Datsun, just like before when we had it out. The entire team except myself took off and went into town, but I stood by and just kind of hung out. Now, of all people that have hanging out as people walk up and ask questions, I'm not really the best person for that. However, I do know a couple things, and I do have some pictures of being under the hood. And so, in fact, that's one thing I won't do, is if I won't open up the hood while the team is gone. All it takes is just someone to monkey with a spark plug wire, and that's that. You know, it's not a good thing. So no, it's not a super deal. I've never seen. I've heard of stuff getting stolen, but generally speaking, that is a very, very rare event. And the only equipment that I heard that got stolen was last time we were in Portland, and it was when people were setting up, and there was a motocross event that night. And of course, that kind of group. Now, if there's any motorcycle people listening and motocross people listening, it's not that I don't trust you guys. But I'm sure you'll be the first to admit that there are some sketchy members in your group, and it's just. But generally speaking, we're not double-breasted with some other club or another event at night, and because there's a lot of gear laying around, especially when people are out on the track and taking care of the sporting business. It's just too much trouble. It'll be really a can of worms. So we all kind of police ourselves against riffraff, and then we're not a heavily attended event by spectators to begin with anyway. So anyway, we'll see what happens next down the pipe. KD70AM, K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, let's get away. It's W7ITL.
This is W7ITL. Let's wait for the switch. Hey, there I am. Hey, so, pretty eventful weekend. I was in Portland over the weekend. I don't know if I told you guys. And, because I don't think I checked in this weekend. So, I was in Portland. That's why I didn't check in. And we went and did a memorial for my wife's grandfather that had passed earlier this year, and that was neat to see everybody. And then we went and traveled around Portland and looking and did some shopping. And then I got back and just been kind of playing around and doing work on the house still. And yesterday I got to check into the 1.25 meter net on sideband, which I haven't done that often. This is my second time checking into that. It's pretty cool because you have to have some special equipment to do that. You can't just use off-the-shelf radios, at least not modern radios. So I had to get a transverter and checked in with that. And let's see. Let me just break for a second. And tonight, me and my daughter went to pick up a table. It's a special table. It's a heated table. It's a Japanese table. It's called a kakatsu table. It's really rare, I guess. You can't get them in the U.S. So we plugged it in. Hopefully it would work, and it did work. So it's a Japanese table. It looks like the voltage difference isn't enough to make it not work. So with that said, I'll turn that back. This is W7ITL.
W7ITL. Let's go on to James. See if he's with us yet. M7QO.
Oh yes, W7N Northeast W. How's the audio?
You're fine, WU7N.
Okay. Well, I'm interested. I just missed what you said for the type of net that you needed a special transverter that off-the-shelf radios wouldn't work. Was that a satellite net?
It was just 222 megahertz net. It's a special net because there's no radios that do 1.25 meter, at least not on sideband.
I've seen a couple of the made in Chinas that do 222 megahertz. I've always wondered if they, at least the two I have, let's just say I got my money's worth when I bought them for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. I wonder if they, threw a capacitor across something to get 222 megahertz, how that would work. But I see the transverter picture up there. That looks interesting. I'm curious also, maybe next time around you tell us, was it through a repeater or was it just a simplex net on that UHF frequency? Well, anyway, Ron, good news. I'm glad to hear that you are out of the woods, so to speak, and that it sounds like everybody else is too. Maybe, like you said, the vaccine and the fact that it was a hanger, maybe, or if my brownies were there, maybe the choking, smoking smell, just caused the virus to die, which is, it's kind of, it's an interesting odor. It's kind of like a burned popcorn smell, only with chocolate sauce on it, is what the house smells like. Got both windows open, both bathroom fans going, trying to suck the air out of this place. And, if that doesn't work by the end of the net, it's going to be the air freshener. So, well, anyway, thank you for the suggestion, Jessica. Good suggestion. I was thinking, too, I was wondering if, 2 or 3 minutes into it, I could flip them over, or would that just make it burned on both sides? Because I don't know enough about musicology to know, does the paper cup inside of the metal container inside the oven do essentially what you're saying? Does the paper cup offer some space or something between the metal of the muffin cups, and so that's why it doesn't burn to a crisp? Or maybe the reason is that these whole things are grocery outlets. They put too much sugar in them or something like that, and they just burn no matter what you do to them. Well, never underestimate the power contained in splitting the atom or in brownie dough sold at grocery outlet. You just don't know how much energy is in there. So I'll let you know how the last batch goes. I don't know. I may have to break the last batch into 2 different batches and see if I can make this work. The only idea I can think of is to put it on some sort of a rack, and I don't want to put it on my oven rack because then I'll have burned chocolate sauce, popcorn mess all over my oven. So I decided against that one. But maybe I can find some other rack with a containment vessel like a nuclear reactor has. Maybe I would go ahead and go for that. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, Richard, it's interesting, the very early stage of aviation was very different, and maybe it was a good thing that's happened because the response back, I'm talking like the 1920s, there were teams sabotaging each other, like during air races and such, or at least allegations that people were trying to, do mean things to other people's airplanes. And then the male pilots had a safety record that was absolutely horrific, even for the day. Your odds of surviving as a male pilot were not good, traveling between New York and Chicago or up and down the West Coast. And I think that was part of how the whole culture of aviation came about with the non-punitive reporting environment, where the most famous thing is the 747 captain. They asked him something about what happened, and his only response was, "Well, I made a mistake. I screwed up." And everybody, that was kind of the end of it. And everybody's kind of, well, okay, we'll just move on to the next thing here now. Because you can do that in aviation. And also, the whole idea, if you have an accident in aviation, is to tell everybody else what happened so they don't have the same one. So maybe that was the result of the first early days of not exactly that attitude. So anyway, this is James, Whiskey Uniform 7 November in Northeast Bellevue. Yeah, it is pitch black outside. One parting question here. Has anyone else noticed this year? I don't have insects. I used to, when I had that window open with just a screen, by this time in the net, I would be inundated with little moths and little no-see-em-sized critters that would get through my screen, and I'd have to turn all my lights off, turn a white screen on my computer, wait for them all to come to the white screen, and then suck them all off. This year, there's no insects. That's kind of scary. I mean, it's not bad, but but I'm wondering if you guys have noticed a lack of insects this year. WW7N, back to net.
WW7N, thanks for that. As per ID, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Does anybody else cares to join into the net?
Alpha Golf 7, Yankee Mike, just saying hello.
Yankee Mike, acknowledged. Thank you for checking in.
Roger that, thank you, AG7YM.
AG7YM, we have you down. Thanks for checking in. Well, let's see, here in Lake City, I was going to say, I had to clean up my furnace filters. The furnace came on a couple of nights ago, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I had a thermostat set for 68 degrees, and I was saying, you know, I haven't cleaned my filters from last year. So I got out and cleaned up the filters, and they've been reinserted into the furnace. And it did come on this morning, and there wasn't that smell of burnt fuzz, you might say. But it warmed up the house again to the 68 degrees that I'm accustomed to. So that was out of the way. And for Ron, you know, there might be a thing that that young man that tested positive for COVID might have had a false positive reading. So that's always a possibility that it didn't really happen or contaminate anybody because of a false positive. They do exist. And this is Dave, KD7ZYM. So with that, let's go up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, this is KD7QKU again. Well, I don't know. He was sick, so he was sick from something. But, and he had a positive test. I'm thinking, James, maybe you need to check the temperature setting on your oven. Have you ever done that? My wife always has a thermometer in hers. She checks it all the time, and she thinks her, the oven gauge, or whatever you want to call it, rheostat or something, isn't accurate. She either is too hot or something, I don't know. But she always has a thermometer. She goes to that, at least in our other house. I don't know about this. We have a new oven here. So let's see what else is going on. I don't know. I don't know. I keep thinking about those. So those, they were brownies? Is that what you were making? Brownies, Jim? Yeah. Okay. Maybe you needed to mix all the bags together and have one big batch. I don't know. Now sometimes my wife puts them in a pan. She doesn't put them in, the little cups. She puts them in a pan and just, cooks them, and then she cuts them in squares. So that might have worked too. So I don't know. But anyway. Guess I don't have a whole lot of... Wade was taking us on a little trip around the house. I was thinking about the Grand Stream the other day. I was thinking how I found my cameras, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I didn't know where the cameras were, and lo and behold, I found my camera, so I could take some movie pictures of what I've been doing, but I didn't know where the camera was. And then if I'd taken pictures, I don't have any way to show them unless I could do it over Grand Stream. So I might have to think about that a bit. So anyway, I guess it's back to that KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, Ron, thanks for that. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
KF7UHK. About a month ago, I was seeing a lot of mosquitoes. I didn't really see them as much as I would get little mosquito bites, and that was kind of bugging me. So it's from my back porch here, because I've got a couple of bushes and trees and stuff on my little back porch here, and I'd leave my door open, and so they'd come in through there and come visit me, because I'm a sugar eater. I like sugar, and I think they just like me more. But lately I have not seen that, but I have seen grasshoppers, which I haven't really seen for a long time. I've seen a lot of grasshoppers this year that were seemed like they were giant, and I'd walk right up to them and they'd bounce and I was like, wow, look at that, it was a grasshopper. And I hadn't seen those for years, really. But let's go back to your brownie stuff that you can eat right out of the bag. from grocery outlet, I always think of stuff that ends up at grocery outlet, and I go there for ice cream and for treats and stuff, and some frozen fish foods over there. I always think of the grocery outlet as a place where experiments that went wrong, and so that's where they ended up. If they weren't selling anywhere else, so they go to the grocery outlet. So you'll find odd brands and odd flavors of things, things that your Coca-Cola that they wanted to put grape into and call it something new. Grape Coca-Cola. No, it'll show up there at the grocery outlet. So it's kind of a place that just things didn't work out for the mainstream. So good luck with that still. But yeah, don't cook them too hard. I think that's going to be your big trick. Is just get them nice and warm, but not really baking too long. Because they really don't need to pre-bake too much. They're probably already pre-baked. Just need to rise up a little bit. This TF7UHK.
TF7UHK, thank you with that. Look out, Martha Stewart. Jessica has spoken. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Yeah, you know what, just going off what Jessica just said, the fact that it says you can eat it raw is a good clue right there. Just kind of warm it up some and see how you like it. That might be just fine. So originally I had to Google the Datsun 510. I was expecting some super sports car, not what I saw. I guess if you say that's the nicest looking one, that must be an acquired taste, I guess I'd have to say. But not that it's bad or anything. It does remind me a bit of the early BMWs. As far as motorcycles, with a somewhat heavy heart, I decided it wasn't worth paying for a motorcycle endorsement anymore when I just renewed my license, my driver's license this year. It was not too much extra, about another $30 or $40 or something like that, but I can't remember the last time I've ridden a motorcycle, so I decided to let it go. And the no insects, absolutely. I have noticed that as well, James. I think it was early this spring. I'm not sure exactly when, but I wrecked my screen, the screen for my sliding door, and haven't replaced it yet. So this entire summer, I've been leaving the sliding door open all day, many days, and never had an insect problem. And this is the first year I remember it being like this. And I attribute it to the fact that we had an extremely dry summer, extremely long, completely dry spell, record-setting, I think it was. And I think that'd be my guess as the reason why. But a few moths here and there, but no mosquitoes at all that I've seen here, and generally very, very few insects of any kind. I think the spiders are going hungry. So, back to that, K9PQ.
K9PQ, thanks for that. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
Well, I wasn't referring to the Datsun 510 as being a particularly nice-looking car. I was referring to our Datsun 510 and the paint job that we have on our car. And I was just trying to find a picture that I could throw up very quickly. But with all everything going on right now, I'm not sure where to even look. Now that I got your interest, Bob, I will be sure and I'll probably just, I know what I'll do. I'll go ahead and I'll text you a picture from our loft event in Portland, so then you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's see. Golly, I just kind of lost my train of thought. The food. Not that I don't like brownies, but I did spend an arm and a leg at Costco for some of their fresh crab, and Boy, oh boy. It's been about a year since I think we had that, and oh God, it was just so delicious, And really, they've got the best price for it's shelled. I bought it shelled, ready to eat, just bing, bing, bing. And so Debbie's not a huge fan of crab. She says that she has to eat it. She only likes it if it's really warmed up. So last night I made a giant-sized crab louis. Hadn't had that in ages. But there's so much in that container that you get from Costco, you're not going to eat it in one dinner. But I had just tons of crab and a giant crab louis last night. And but once you open the container, the crab doesn't want to sit around very long, so you want to, eat it right up. And so Debbie and I decided to, eat dinner together tonight, but, fix it our own the way we each like it. And so what she did is she sauteed quite a bit of crab with some tomatoes out of the garden, some basil, and several other things. And then she had some pasta boiling away. So she ended up with a kind of a seafood pasta, just primarily all with crab. And then I like to take crab and put it over brown rice. So it had a giant plate of brown rice and put gobs and gobs of fresh crab right on top of that. But then I top it off with sharp cheddar. And that is just fantastic. I forgot how good it was, so someone doesn't like sharp cheddar. Maybe they thought I ruined the crab, one or the other. But the two just go together nicely. And so Debbie and I, we both had a huge crab dinner tonight, and now it's all gone. So we'll probably think about that. I guess maybe come this winter, January or so. That's it. KD7ZYM, K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. Peter Wade, W7ITL.
This is W7ITL, Wade here in Tacoma, and Richard, I just got done eating, but now you made me hungry again. I really want crab now. Thanks a lot. Well, and to kind of, can we flip to RF? Let's see if I can get on RF. And let's see what else I was going to talk about. I was going to comment on Ron's potential exposure to COVID. I additionally think I might have been potentially exposed by somebody in my family that was visiting when we were in Portland. So they didn't have it, but they were exposed to it. My signal's getting all bad. That's weird. Maybe it's my... Anyways, I'll fix that later. But I wanted to say what a great net, and then also to kind of end with the COVID thing. We don't know for sure, but it was just unsettling to find out that our family member had been exposed to somebody. They don't show symptoms yet, but with my son being under 12, it just makes us nervous. With that said, I will return the net back to Dave. This is W7ITL.
W7ITL, let's go on to James, WU7N.
Well, I still think it's something to be a little nervous about. I did see an interesting news article on YouTube from the Indian perspective. This is why you need a virtual private network to go around the world and see how other people look at this. Real interesting news bite from Wion Network in India. It was asking the question,
Why does India underreport COVID deaths? Russia underreports COVID deaths. But in the American infotainment industry, New York adjusts COVID deaths. It's an interesting choice of words in the English language, isn't it? Everybody else underreports, but we adjust our numbers. Now, the next time someone makes baseless accusations of fraud and embezzlement, I'm going to say, no, there was no fraud or embezzlement. I adjusted the books and see if that gets my name off the federal indictment, see if that works this time. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Okay, so a white box appeared, and now I've got color bars on RF, and now I've got another white box, so I'm not sure what's going on. I see Richard intensely staring. Anyway, thank you very much for all the ideas on the brownie stuff. And once again, Ron, I'm glad to hear you're in good health so far. So it looks like we're getting down to the last 8 minutes here, so let me go ahead and turn it back to Dave, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. My name is James, WW7N in Northeast Bellevue. Take it away, Dave.
WW7N, James, thanks for that. And again, for ID, this is Dave, 87ZYM on the 08 machine for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Boy, we were talking about crab, and it reminded me when I was, back when dirt was discovered and I was in grade school, we had a wooden coal stove in the kitchen, and we'd fire that up with wood or presto logs, and it would heat the top of the whole big wooden stove, and you could cook on top of that. Well, not cooking crab, we had crab, and it was on ice, and cracked the crab, ate the crab, it was great. But then I got the idea, what are we going to do with these shells? So I opened up the lid going into the stove, and I deposited the crab shells to be burnt up. And I tell you, the smell in the house, I think it lasted 4 days. It was the most putrid smell I can ever remember experiencing in my life. So anyway, that was a no-no I learned. This is Dave, 87ZYM with my crab story. So let's go back up to Ron, 87QKU.
Okay, thank you, Dave, 87QKU. Well, I'm sorry, I missed that. The doorbell rang. The guy was here to pick up the key for our house in Bellevue, so I had to go run and give him the key. Yeah, Wade, I would think I'd be a little nervous too. That's the thing with, with our family. There was quite a few kids there that were under 12 that hadn't been vaccinated. But so far, as far as I know, none of them got sick. So. And then the grandmother of this boy, had breast cancer and was taking chemotherapy. In fact, she had a treatment the next day. But she had been vaccinated. So far, so good. She hasn't shown any signs either. So, yeah, it's kind of worrisome to find out. I don't like to test anything, especially vaccines, especially now when, I'm older and everything. So, yeah, Richard, your crab sounded good. The lily sounded really good. I don't know about the brown rice. I like sharp cheese. I don't know, I guess I've never had... No, I guess I have had cheese with crab. You can get a sandwich, and I think that the crab sandwich has cheese on it sometimes. But I like oysters now. So every time we go to Long Beach, I think I had oysters for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then we went over to one of the places, I can't say the name of it now. And we bought oysters, and we bought their mix they had in a bag that you roll the oyster in and then pan fry it. Oh my goodness, it was good. If I ever go back there, I want to make sure I buy some more of that stuff. The seasoning was just great. So anyway, I guess that's enough. Been a good net. Glad to see everybody, and glad everybody's well and happy. So back to that KD7.
KD7, Ron, thanks for that. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
KF7UHK. Yeah, I somehow heard probably on one of the food networks that cheese and fish usually don't go together. So I'm not really sure why, but I think I tried some Parmesan on top of something that was fish, some fish-like thing, And I said to myself, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that because fish and cheese don't go together. I think it turned out okay, but I'm not sure. It's just it's firm when your taste buds open and close in different ways that I don't think they like so much. Let's see. Someone was talking about camping earlier and camping on top of gravel. I think our tip was camp on a hillside, so that if it rains, you can make the water go down one side or the other side of the tent by making a little channel rather than waking up in a puddle. I think we've done that before. And then brownies, turn away. I'll eat them. KF7, UHK.
KF7, UHK. Let's go to Bob, T9PQ.
Okay, well, let's see. I got a few things here. About Wade, your child being under 12. I have a brother with 3 children, only one of which is under 12, and it makes it very tough for them because they've got to be very, very careful. Even with the older kids, having to be careful around the younger kids. So it makes it kind of tough. I sympathize. As for the gravel, it's definitely a good thing. It's very nicely done the way they do this. It's very level, and like I said, with some wooden rails around to define the area. And one thing I remember from my Boy Scout days, I think, is you learn very quickly when it's raining is that your ground cloth, your tarp that you put under the tent, needs to be a smaller footprint than the tent itself. You don't want it going out beyond the tent because that just allows the water to puddle up on top of it and come right to your tent, and you get very wet. So I see a lot of people agreeing with me on that one. Let's see, the Costco crab, I asked Richard offline there about if it was in the shell or not. A friend of mine bought Costco crab in the shell, and surprisingly, I was not crazy about it. I have had crab in things. I've had crab in the shell before, not a lot, but I very quickly found it was sort of too rich for me or too much for me, something. So I ate a little bit of it and then I was done. But I think I would like it in things. As far as cheese on fish, hey, tuna casserole, anybody? So back to that, I guess this is it for me. 73, everybody, K9PQ.
K9PQ, let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
Well, I'm not too sure about it. I'm just talking about cheddar and actually talking about sharp cheddar. And I'm talking about crab, and I'm not talking about fish. So those are 2 important distinctions. And then as far as COVID goes, let's see, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, Debbie's sister, insists on not getting vaccinated. And we'll be moving to Texas next week, and so Monday she's having a going-away party, which I've been invited to, but as I told Debbie, it's in a restaurant, so that makes matters worse, and I told Debbie that, I'll go with a mask, and Debbie said she'll have a mask on, but it's not like I'm going to be there for half an hour or 20 minutes. I'll be there maybe 5-10 minutes, just because who knows, if they're unvaccinated, they refuse to get vaccinated, they're anti-mask, anti-vax, which I'm sure they'll be welcomed down in Texas for one of those reasons anyway, and so that's fine for them, but not me. But what I'm thinking though is I better go because this could be the last time I see them ever under the circumstances. And the brother-in-law is probably around 75. She's around 60. 2-ish or 61-ish. I'm not sure there, so she's not as old as her husband, but it's just a sad scenario, and it's just how life is right now in our country. So I better say goodbye. It's 73 time. It's 9 o'clock. The big rich and water. A lot of fun, you guys. Thanks a lot. We'll say goodnight. KD7ZYM, K7ITX. Back to Net Control.
K7ITX, and good things do have to come to an end. Unfortunately, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. We'd like to thank the owners and operators of the 08 machine, the C-Tank repeater crew, for allowing us to utilize the 08 machine for our voice transmissions for our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9. So at this point, this is Dave, 87 CYM, signing off. Good evening all.